Okay, we're going to jump right in. First principle. I really do believe as leaders who want to lead ourselves, we must learn how to detach from situations. Okay, so situations of high stress, high anxiety, just tension overall. I know for us, this has been a really hard week as a family. You just felt just this overwhelming tension in the house all of a sudden. And I think it's just because the stage of life we're in, right? We have a daughter who's about to be 4 and a daughter who's about to be 1. And that's a lot of high-pitched screaming. And a lot of things just required of us, with trying to keep life going and taking care of the dishes and vacuuming and then making all the beds and then doing it again and then, cleaning up diapers and cleaning up vomit and then taking care of 2 dogs, making sure you go to work and get there on time. And all that type of stuff is just a lot, right? And the world asks a lot from us. But the military did as well. So if you served, you know that. You were used to operating in situations like that. And one thing you'd have to teach yourself is to detach from the situation, right? To emotionally and mentally pull out. And this could just be 5-10 seconds and just be like, man. And then you think to yourself, man, who do I need to be in this moment? Who do I want to be in this moment? Who do I need to be? What's really going on here? What's the bigger picture? What's the mission? All right, I'm back in, right? That's a principle that you can start to apply in your life. And that is pulled from the blue sky strategy. That is part of the specialization of situational awareness. If you remember, the blue sky strategy contains 3 specializations that we train you on to help you become an influential, an effective, and a prepared leader, right? When I say influential, another word I use, that's why I'm stumbling on it. Sometimes I say attractive, right? Like attractive meaning you attract others to you. You're like a magnet that people are like, man, dude, I want to follow you. And I don't know why, but man, there's something about you that's attractive. It's the way you speak. It's the way you move. I talk about the lens of leadership, the lifestyle of leadership, right? And the language of leadership. Those things coming together and you aligning properly to who you are. You operate out of your unique identity and everything else comes together. That type of stuff, right? That's the command presence element. What we're talking about today is situational awareness, which is seeing more and before others see. So I want to help you be able to detach, see the bigger picture, and then come back into the situation with full intentionality. That's something that can help you a lot, and it's something I've had to use this week. There were moments where I was like, man, I don't know why I acted that way. I thought I was over that. I thought I was past that. Then you got to remember, you're still you. There's still habits that have been taught to you through your whole life. So maybe you've been erasing certain habits that you don't want anymore. Maybe you've been, picking up that magic eraser and, on the wall of your house, and you're trying to get rid of all the scratches or, all the crayon marks from your kids, right? Maybe there's a little bit left there still. That's okay. You're still you. You're becoming a better version of you, all right? But you're still you. It makes sense that you have tendencies, maybe certain ways you react to situations, and you're like, man, I can't believe I reacted that way. Well, you're still you, all right? And you're becoming a better version of you, but give yourself grace. All right, our second principle is really about governing yourself. This is something a mentor of mine has taught me, Israel McGukin. He talks about governing yourself instead of suppressing your emotion, right? Knowing that, hey, when this type of situation comes up, I normally act this way. So I'm going to govern myself better. I'm going to prepare for it. When a deadline comes up at work, I normally get more stressed. I normally am easier to be agitated, right, with the people around me, including my own family. Now that I know that, what can I do to change that? What can I do to govern myself? Maybe I start to listen to relaxing music more. Maybe I start to look at situations in my life where I can put humor in. Maybe I can watch some comedy. This is governing yourself. Maybe you need an outlet to express emotion, maybe express anger, express aggressiveness, whatever that is. So, man, pick up some weights. Go for a run. Smash your feet into the ground, right? Let that out. It's in you. It's got to go somewhere. So you suppressing it, other people can feel it. That's the point of the book, Weapons of Mass Deception. What we suppress spreads. And I don't think we're going to change until we see the way it's affecting other people around us. So that's what I'm telling you here. Govern yourself. You know, your body is really yours, right? You get to decide if you want to move your fingers. You get to decide if you want to jump up and down, if you want to sit down. Like, that's your decision. That's your domain to govern, right? So what are we doing about that? Control the controllables. Control what we can control. Let the other things go. What are some things you can control? I think you can always control your attitude. You can always control your actions. And maybe there's another thing I'm missing, but that's pretty much it. And then when our attitude's off, our actions are wrong, we remind ourselves, man, I can change. I can control this. I can get back in charge right now. That's our second principle. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to a break real quick. And as we come back, we'll talk about our third principle and we'll bring it all together with your final lesson. Hey, look, if you are a leader who you're finding that there's a gap in your organization and you feel like you're doing it all yourself, you're constantly putting out fires, yes, you're keeping it all together, but if anything happens to you, this whole thing falls apart. I want you to know that that is not the way it's supposed to be, that we are supposed to prepare leaders because that's the right thing to do. Sometimes I talk to corporations and they're like, well, I don't know because I don't have a problem to solve right now, or I don't know if we have the money. And I'm like, it's the right thing to do. Sometimes we just do things because it's the right thing to do, right? And the right thing to do is prepare your leaders for their next promotion. Prepare your leaders for the next position. You know, prepare your leaders with responsibility, with authority, with accountability, and with resources. That's a quadrant that I developed, okay? And this quadrant, the empowerment quadrant, the empowerment matrix, is something that can really help you. And we can get that in your hands, man. Book a call with me. Go to adamfjones.com, book a call. Let's talk about how we can use this quadrant in your organization, whether you're looking for a speaker or a consultant. We take that and we start to apply our blue sky strategy with the 3 specializations to create leaders that other people want to follow. Then you won't need to be the leader who does it all yourself anymore. You won't need to be the one who's constantly putting out fires. And instead, you're going to be able to focus on the bigger picture and focus on what's coming up next instead of being so honed in on only what is right now and holding it together. So go to adamfjones.com. I'd love to get a call with you, and you and I can chat more about how we can help you in this time. All right, so here's our third principle. We talked about our first principle is detaching from the situation. That's always so hard for me to say. I don't know why I stutter on that one, but detach. Leave the situation emotionally, mentally for a moment. Next thing, second principle is govern, right? We want to govern ourselves much more effectively. And then our third principle, I alluded to it in the beginning, but are we actually publishing things, right? One way to really control a little bit of what's going on inside of you is to release it to others. So start publishing stuff. Publish books, publish courses, publish material, publish content. Don't do it for the likes, the views, the follows. Just do it because you need to release it. And as you release it more, you'll learn it better, right? One reason I love doing these podcast episodes is this is such a great training ground for me to be able to talk about some of these concepts that I'm working on. And, I don't know who's listening to this, but I really do hope it adds value to you. I hope it honors you. Because I believe that we are all meant to become great people that do great things. Everyone has that in them. Everyone has that in them. And if you see someone in your life who you're like, oh, I don't know about that person, well, maybe you're supposed to be the spark to get them going. Maybe you're supposed to ignite them. So yeah, I want you to start publishing some stuff. 2023, make it a year of publishing. Publish things that last. I got the book coming out, Weapons of Mass Deception, but also I'm going to be publishing articles to help people with that book. I'll be publishing articles on leadership. I'll be publishing articles on how to develop the lens of leadership so that you can see more and before others see, right? You can begin to understand that what's right in front of you right now, those problems in front of you, are really solutions that you can start to search for. When you see a problem, search for a solution. It starts with the lens though, right? So those are some things that we'll be publishing here in the near future, and I'm excited about that. But I want you to know that regardless of all of this, that this shirt really has meaning. Continue mission. This really means something. Because when life does get really hard, I do remind myself, man, dude, I got to continue mission. And that doesn't mean hold it all back and act like it's not happening. That means find a way to win. That means stay in the fight. You know, on Veterans Day, let's talk about this. In the book, Lone Survivor, which is just a phenomenal movie. I never lived that life, man. You know, I flew Black Hawk helicopters. I stayed in the U.S. the entire time while doing it. It's just my story. I just own it, right? But there's a part where this one person gets shot, and he says, quit living in the past. He's like, man, I was shot. Sorry about my phone there. And he goes, quit living in the past. We've all been shot. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen today. Recognizing, man, we're all getting hit. We're all taking hits right now. There's a thing called homeostasis, which basically talks about how we change based on our situation, and what we have like a normal. And anything that pulls us outside of that norm, outside of that standard, feels pretty extreme. You know, this is why you can meet someone who grew up without a father and a mother, and they just feel so excited to, you know, have someone give them a hug. And then you have someone else who gets a hug every single day of their life from their parents, and yet they feel depressed because, you know, no one likes them at school. How's that possible? Homeostasis, right? So I don't know if that's the best example, but I just want you to think, we've all been shot. Quit living in the past. Continue mission. Hey, would you do me a favor? If this podcast has added value to you, man, would you leave us a review? Wherever you listen to your podcast, just please leave us a review. Let me know how this is adding value to you, because this stuff is actually going to add up over time. And I don't really ask for this kind of stuff often, but, you know, man, I want to extend the reach